Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first edition of the War Report. I am Joseph Poulin Jr., Joe Jr., JPJ. I am joined by the man himself, Spencer Love. Spencer, how are we doing today?
Man, I'm good. I will admit it's a little earlier than I'm used to getting my normal podcast recording done, but it's a good thing for me. I can't complain with my day starting earlier, especially when we get to talk about two great episodes of Wednesday night wrestling programming last night. It's always a bit of a mixed bag with any professional wrestling show when you're hopping into a first episode. Quite literally, dude, I always hop in thinking, God, I hope these episodes don't suck. And last night were great, so I'm real excited to be here.
Yeah, definitely eased my nervousness knowing that those were two pretty badass shows last night, I thought. And that was going to be my next question to you is what did you think of the wrestling on Wednesday as a whole? But you answered that, so that is wonderful.
Absolutely. It was fantastic, just to reinforce.
Oh, yeah. All right, so we'll jump right into this thing. Of the two shows, which did you enjoy the most?
Personally, I think I enjoyed NXT a little bit more last night, and I think it might be not recency bias, but I guess almost a shiny new thing. Like up in Canada, up until I think it was even 3 weeks ago, we didn't get NXT until Thursday nights. It was sort of not even really a Wednesday night war, unfortunately. So it's kind of nice for me to be able to watch NXT on Wednesday nights without having to resort to any like diving into the darkest depths of the internet to find the stream.
Yeah.
So I think maybe my recency bias does play in a little bit because Dynamite was solid last night. I really, really enjoyed what they did as well. And it's been kind of cool for me. Just the one thing that I did have the complaint with is I find myself thoroughly incapable of watching two shows at once anymore. So I was up at like 5:30 this morning watching Dynamite. Excellent episode, but I'm going to give my hand to NXT last night.
All right. Well, I will go with you, and we will start off with NXT. So the show starts. We had a tag team match with Zoe Stark and Io Shirai going against Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai. What were your thoughts on this match?
I loved the match itself. I think I didn't really dislike any matches across both programs. There were a couple that maybe weren't to my flavor, but weren't bad matches by any means. But this was a personal favorite of mine. I've really, really liked what they've done with Raquel Gonzalez, since pairing her with Dakota Kai. I think that she's been damn near flawless, both in the way that she's presented herself and then in just the way that NXT has chosen to present her booking-wise and all of that sort of stuff. So thought it was fantastic. Dakota Kai, by my money, is one of the top female talents in WWE. I absolutely love her.
Oh, she's fantastic.
And if I'm going to say that about Dakota Kai, then like by my money, Io Shirai is like, if it's not her, Sasha Banks or Deonna Purrazzo, man, like those are the top three in my opinion. So, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, sorry, my bad. Io Shirai has been a standout performer for me in this whole company for the last few years, even before she got the title. She was, once she made that turn and got that new entrance and was like that character that we've seen, like I was in from the jump.
It's unbelievable, man. I was lucky enough to be at TakeOver Toronto when she had that match against Candice LeRae. So like you talk about selling somebody on a heel turn or a character change, whatever, like, yeah, completely sold. And then Zoe Stark, I love what they've done with her over her first few weeks in WWE. This is a perfect example for me of individuals who can look good in losses. You don't necessarily need to win a ton when you're being presented right off the hop against top talent. And I do think that she does need to pick up a win here sooner rather than later. I would agree. But I think she's looked fantastic, getting the association, getting the rub from Io Shirai, Dakota Kai, Raquel Gonzalez. Again, top talents in NXT and WWE as a whole. Exactly. I think you can only benefit from that this early in your career. Does she need to win? I'll reinforce that, I think she does sooner rather than later. But especially when you're in a match like this, it looks great.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. I was like, even though she's the one that takes the pinfall and loses the match at the end, her being so new to our TV screens and to our programming, and to see her with that level of talent in the ring, they already are presenting her like, hey, she's in this group. She's in this group. She's going to be around. And like you said, even in losing, it just shows that they have a high opinion of her, that they're putting her with the NXT champion, teaming with her, the NXT women's champion, and the person that she's going to be going against in TakeOver in a few weeks.
Yeah,
And
the one quick shout I want to make too as well is again on Raquel Gonzalez. Her trash talk's on point. It's one of the things that I've loved the most about just the crowdless or Thunderdome, I guess, environment at this point. I love the fact that you do get to hear more of those in-ring interactions, and I think that she's not only always been good at it, but has grown leaps and bounds with it as well. Her trash talk right off the bat there, you think you can outpower me? You really think you can outpower me? I think it was absolutely fantastic. I'm getting ahead of myself here, man, but I'd be shocked if she didn't win the NXT Women's Championship.
Yeah, I mean,
weeks.
I think so too. I think that's where they go. I don't know what it would mean for Io if she goes up to the main roster or anything like that, but I think the way they've positioned her, I mean, they had her beat Rhea Ripley 2 times back to back on Rhea's way out of NXT, and they held Rhea Ripley in pretty high regard down there. So,
to say the least.
Yes, exactly. So for that to happen and for her to be positioned like that, they winning the tournament, just like she's looked like $1 million the whole time she's been a presence on NXT television. So
I agree.
All right, cool. And then after the match, obviously, she gives the big boot to Io and she gives her the move onto the table, kind of setting up. I'm assuming next week, they'll get back together. Maybe Io will get the upper hand, but
contract signing or something like that.
Exactly,
I'd have to expect.
Yeah. And then after that, we see backstage where they show the, not backstage, but they show the video of Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole getting into it a little bit at Kyle's gym while he was training. And then we get kind of back-to-back promos here. We get a promo from LA Knight talking about his upcoming match with Bronson Reed and a Jordan Devlin promo about his match with Kushida later in the evening. Did anything about these stick out to you, or are they just kind of normal?
I liked them. Yeah, I think that's the best way to put them is it's nothing against them. I thought they were good promos, but there was nothing really, especially compared to some of the other promos that I know you and I are going to talk about on both programs. Yeah. I think that they were good. They were very, very good. I like the fact that Kushida got to do his whole promo in Japanese. I thought that was a really, really nice touch. It's something that I think is underplayed. It really is. You need to be able to play to you need to be able to play, just to restart the sentence, to your star's strengths. And I think that when even you look at Andrade, I think that, yes, he put in a ton of great work to learn English and he put that effort in and it paid off in spades, I think, as far as his character goes. But if they had let him, when he first came in, even before Zelina Vega, cut promos with the passion and the charisma that I know he has and do them in Spanish and subtitle them, I love stuff like that. You have to be able to treat all of your characters with, the respect they deserve, I think. Yeah. And I think that letting Kushida showcase himself as naturally as possible rather than forcing him to deliver a promo in a style that maybe he's not comfortable with, like we've seen before, that stood out to me. But the promo itself was good.
Yeah. All right, cool. So now I'm gonna try to switch. I don't want to just do one show in full and then the other. So I kind of want to go back and forth, kind of a back and forth.
Crisscross.
Mix it up a little bit. So we'll head over to AEW. And to start that one, I thought we had a killer match between Kenny Omega and Matt Sydal. I thought Matt Sydal came out. And then we just talked about this with Zoe Stark, right? This is one of those matches where Matt Sydal loses, as you would expect him to lose to Kenny Omega. But he looked so good throughout the match. Awesome reversals, awesome offense. That senton kind of tilt-a-whirl thing that oh my God. Amazing.
He's so good. He's so good. He's been good for years. And much like you said, like I think it pairs really well with the comparison we made to Zoe Stark, or that you made to Zoe Stark, excuse me. He's someone who I think can afford to take a loss when he's presented against people like a Kenny Omega and these mega stars. He's uber talented. You can have him wrestle a broomstick as the comparison I make for a lot of people, and they'll have a great match. And he fits in that category firmly. And in the nicest way to Kenny Omega, like much in the way I say, you just have to go and watch this match. Kenny Omega's just been on fire lately. I've enjoyed him so much. He's as can't miss as it gets in pro wrestling for me. It absolutely shocks me that Impact drew their lowest audience this year on Tuesday, because I really enjoyed what he came out and did on Tuesday night.
Very good.
And I know this isn't the Tuesday Night War report, but it's all intertwined when the Forbidden Door is open, brother.
That's true.
I think it's been absolutely fantastic what he's been doing lately. This was just another example of what a great run he's been on. And Matt Sydal looked fantastic. I really hope he just gets a story going sooner rather than later. He's looked great in not the random matches. They've all been advertised, but the sort of random matches that he seems to get placed in as in the nicest way possible to the guy to make his opponents look great. Yeah. Right? I want him in a story. I think he's another guy that could be a big player for AEW in the future. He could be a big player for any promotion, but he happens to be with All Elite Wrestling. So, and I want to see him get involved in something sooner rather than later, but I'm not going to ever complain against watching him wrestle one of the best in the world.
Oh, yeah. He had, when Omega was going for the one-winged angel, he did a counter that went into a victory roll, like kind of off the ropes.
Yeah,
and that
right
was one of
there.
That was such a crazy counter to me. Like I knew Omega was winning. Never did I really have a doubt that he was. But on that moment when he hit it, because I think he had hit like 2 or 3 V triggers at that point.
Yeah.
And they were going back and forth, a little flurry at the end. And when he did that counter, I was like, wow, that kind of got me off the edge of my seat a little bit.
Yeah.
And then
Omega, that's the best kind of pro wrestling, man.
Oh, my God, it's so good.
Like you say, and you never know, but when a guy like Kenny Omega is going up without that long-term story that AEW has been so good at building their world championships around, you can expect that he's not going to lose this match. But when you can, again, get on the edge of your seat, that's all you can ask in pro wrestling.
Yeah.
And suspend the disbelief and they force you to in something like that.
Yeah. And lastly on that, I thought it was a good reminder because, like, not everybody watches Dark or not everybody has seen all, Matt Sydal hasn't been on Dynamite a ton. He's had matches on Dynamite, but not a ton. So I think the match was a good reminder of just how good he is for people that might only watch Dynamite and really forgot how good he was. You know what I mean?
Yep, I completely get it. Not everybody's going to have all the time to watch every piece of wrestling program every week. As much as we all want to, it just ain't going to happen.
100%. 100%. Afterwards, we see in the back, Dark Order. They're talking to John Silver, pumping him up for his match with Darby Allin for the TNT title later in the evening, practicing dodging coffin drops and all sorts of things. Just terrific. And at the end, Hangman comes over and says, "Hey, no matter what happens, we're all going to be proud of you, buddy." What did you think of that segment? I love Hangman kind of hanging around again with them again. I've
loved the whole relationship, and it's obviously come out of the worst of circumstances because, again, like a lot of people got to see what Brody Lee and the Dark Order and all of them were doing on BTE prior to obviously his passing and sort of the charisma and almost the face turn that they were taking on BTE. But to be able to see them doing it now and be able to see guys like John Silver and Reynolds and Preston Vance, everybody just, they're so much fun. Yeah. And pro wrestling's got so much more room for just simple, good-hearted fun. You know, as cheesy as that sounds, I think they're some of the best. Like you say, the little silly, because they are silly in the best possible way. Yeah. Little silly skits where, again, you said dodging the coffin drops. It's wonderful to me. So and I love the relationship with Hangman Page. He's just a personal favorite of mine. So when you get to combine two great forces like the Dark Order and Hangman Adam Page, I'm always in. Yeah,
I would agree with you there. And then that leads into Hangman going against Cesar Bononi. It was basically a squash. AEW has been good. That second kind of slot, that second match role the last month or so has been these type of quicker squash matches. Bononi did get some offense because he is a bigger guy. He's a 6'6". Like, he is a presence when you see him. He's a large man. So he got some offense at the beginning, kind of using his power, but Hangman ends it relatively quickly, goes to the top of the ramp, cracks a beer, and we get the Hangman portion of the night, which I'm always a fan of. He's one of my favorites, if not my favorite guy in AEW. The more Hangman we see, the better.
I agree.
Then we got a promo with Lance Archer talking about Sting. I really enjoyed this promo. He's holding a bat. He says, this bat used to mean respect, and he's talking about how he does respect Sting, but it's Lance Archer's time now. And he has no problem taking Sting's TV time because Sting had his time and he wants everyone to be focusing on himself.
What did you think? Fantastic. Archer has just been fantastic since turning babyface. And this wasn't even like a traditional babyface promo, but since turning babyface, I'm still going to go under the assumption that he's a babyface until he potentially turns on Sting. I really like this. It was a pairing that I really hadn't ever considered, to be honest with you. You know, you hear Sting, you imagine top guys or guys like Darby Allin, like he's already been affiliated with, sort of those natural fits. But as soon as Lance Archer mentioned Sting, this is at least the first I've heard. I don't know if there's been any prior stuff between the two, to be honest with you. And if there is, excuse me. But I really love this. And I think that they could really do some great things. I'm definitely intrigued. I need to see more of it. I like this promo. I like the direction that they're going. I want to see more. I unfortunately just need to see more to offer any more than I am very intrigued by this.
I agree. I would assume, do you think Sting, I know we saw him take the powerbomb from Cage. So, I mean, in the wrestling ring, do you think Sting's matches will be mostly cinematic variety to protect him with his age or neck? Or do you think
so?
Yeah,
I have to think so, but at the same time, like you say, he's taking bumps.
Yeah,
like he took a power bomb. He took some very legitimate bumps in that cinematic match.
Yeah,
I'd have to expect that when fans are back in full force, which in the States seems to be sooner rather than later.
Yeah,
I'd have to figure he would do a match in front of a crowd or a couple of matches in front of a crowd, right?
Yeah, I mean, I would have to think so.
I can't see it being strictly cinematic stuff. Yeah, I really can't. Mostly yes, strictly no.
All right, that works for me. All right. So the next segment on AEW, Britt Baker. Now, oh my God.
Very good at what she does.
Yeah, very, very good at what she does. They show a recap of the match with her and Thunder Rosa from last week, which unbelievable. Enough good things have been said about it, but that was just one of the best matches. If you haven't seen it, go take the time because that was one of the good. Yeah, I think that was one of, if not the top match maybe in the history of AEW. That was an AEW. It was up there in that discussion for me. And then Shivani brings out Britt Baker and she cuts an absolute fire promo. Excuse me. She calls out Thunder Rosa. You know, they talk about, she says, we made history last week, but that was my history. I'm the one that did it. She thanks Mick Foley for giving the thumbs up on Twitter, but then says what took him 20 years to become a hardcore legend, she did in just one night.
So good.
Unbelievable.
So good.
Unbelievable. And then she says, Tony Khan, she calls out the boss, and she says, you're out here looking for every legend you can see when you got the biggest one standing right here in front of you. And
Britt Baker is,
man.
Britt Baker could take the next 3 months off and still be in contention for first half MVP.
Unbelievable.
Unquote.
I
Holy
think
shit. That match, like, obviously is not even obviously, but is definitely the pinnacle for me of her run over the last little bit. And I think for a lot of people, but like you say, man, the promo she cut last night was fantastic. She's been cutting promos like that over the last 6 months.
Yes.
Right? Britt Baker is just, she's on top of her game. And I even need to apologize for my earlier mistake of only mentioning 3 women in that conversation for best in the world right now or currently running greatest women's wrestlers, whatever you want to put the moniker on. If Britt Baker ain't in that conversation, you're wrong. I was wrong earlier. I'm happy to admit I was wrong earlier. Britt Baker, if for whatever reason you're watching Love Wrestling, number 1, would love to do an interview, but number 2, I apologize because you're too damn good at what you do. It was so good, man.
Man.
Everything you mentioned there, I had listed here to specifically bring up because I couldn't think of one highlight. Like, you went after Mick Foley?
Unreal.
This man in professional wrestling?
Yeah, like
my God.
One of the most well-liked people in the history of wrestling who was complimenting her, like going, hey, that was an unbelievable match. And she's like, nah, I'm better than you. Yeah. And I think, you know, it's been building to this because she's been fantastic going on, you know, a year.
Dude, I want Britt Baker versus Mick Foley.
Yeah, I would watch. I mean, yeah, and it would be amazing.
Yeah, it would be amazing. I have no doubt it would be fantastic.
Yeah,
but yeah, it was a terrific promo. I really, really enjoyed it. It's one of those other things where I could say a million things about it, have said a million things about it, but just to summarize, it is well worth your time to go and watch that promo.
100%. I think Britt Baker has become, specifically the last 2 weeks with that match and the promo, but she's become one of the reasons why you're tuning into Dynamite.
Oh,
you're
yeah.
like, I want to see what she's doing like now.
Yep.
All right, cool.
Yep.
Then backstage we have Christian Cage. He is chatting it up with the Varsity Blondes and Dante Martin of Top Flight. And he gets interrupted by Kazarian. And he says, hey, you've been around for a little bit, but you haven't even come say hi to an old friend. And he kind of, they're kind of talking. And he goes, so I want to know when the work actually starts and the outwork everyone. And Christian challenges him to a match. And he said it starts next week. And if, I have an open availability, if you want to step up, Kazarian accepts. And then Kazarian kind of gives a little cheap shot and goes, hey, you busy on Monday nights? And he goes, no, you're not busy on Monday nights. He goes, well, I have a match on Elevation, so you might want to stop by and check it out. Because 7 years is a long time out of the ring, so you might need to, check it out a little bit. What did you think of this little pairing of them? Obviously, TNA history between the two.
I love the pairing. I'm never going to complain about Christian versus Frankie Kazarian. I'm not going to complain about a Christian match for the next little bit until there's if there is a noticeably bad one, that's when I'll start complaining. But we're playing on free money, guys. This is casino dollars, Christian time that we're getting. No one expected this. Let's just be thankful that we're going to get him back in the ring at all. But outside of that, I don't like the dig at Monday nights. It's not like Christian even came back and worked on a Monday night when he returned, right? He did the Rumble. You didn't see him until he came back to AEW. And I just think it was very heavy-handed. I've got all the time in the world for subtle shots, but it was a very heavy-handed reference, which was odd from the usually excellent promo, and still a good promo, but excellent promo, Frankie Kazarian. And I also do agree with the outwork. I just don't like the outwork everybody. I don't like it for anybody. Everybody, and I can't remember who made the point, but they said if you're going in there and priding yourself on working harder than everybody else, everybody in pro wrestling works hard. Yeah. Right? I just think it's an odd way. It's an odd way for that to come back, Yeah. I really love Christian, and I'm, again, never going to complain about his wrestling or the ability to see him wrestle again. I think there's so many ways to go outside of just the outwork everybody. I do like the Kazarian called him out. I just also didn't really like the heavy-handed, are you busy on Mondays? He hasn't been busy on Mondays since he took a punt kick from Randy Orton. If I remember correctly. Yeah,
I'm like you when it comes to this. I am all for subtle little jokes here or there, but it doesn't have to be every week. And it seems like AEW is getting to a trend where it's every week that there's some sort of reference, and it's you don't need to do it all the time. Here or there, we get it. We're wrestling fans. It's mostly going to be funny or enjoyable to us if you give a little shot here or there, but it becomes heavy-handed. It becomes over the top when it's just nonstop. And so I do think they could probably pull back the reins a little bit on that when it comes from that side of things.
All right. I don't disagree with you.
Yeah. All right. Let's shift back over to NXT a little bit. So they talked about the Danny Burch injury, which is unfortunate. I really am a big fan of him and Oni Lorcan, and I'm a big fan of both those guys. And they announced a triple threat for the vacant NXT tag titles at TakeOver. It'll be MSK versus the Grizzled Young Veterans versus Legado del Fantasma. Should be, those are three killer tag teams I'm expecting. I can see the large smile on your face.
My God, am I excited for this. It comes out of the worst circumstances you can have, but I couldn't be more excited for this. I really couldn't. I'm very excited that it's three relatively new teams. Not that they haven't been around for a while, and the exception of MSK, obviously, but the Grizzled Young Vets still feel relatively fresh as far as NXT goes, right? They established themselves in UK. They came over for the Dusty Cup last year, not even the most recent one, but obviously pandemic and everything that comes with that. This really has felt like their big breakout over the last little bit. MSK is obviously a fantastic team, and those two have great chemistry. And then Legado del Fantasma they're so good. They're just so good. Yeah. And I think that they have been a bit underplayed so that they can have a moment. I would be putting money on them to win this, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah, I could.
I think that they're due for a big breakout. I know that Santos Escobar has done a great job as the cruiserweight / interim cruiserweight champion, depending on who you believe. But I wouldn't be shocked to see them win this one. I know I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm just excited as hell for the match.
Oh yeah,
I could talk about it forever.
It's gonna be a good one.
Yeah.
I do think, I do see a scenario where after TakeOver that Legado del Fantasma and Escobar have all the gold. He wins he keeps his cruiserweight title according to him, and then they leave with the tag titles, and they can have a nice little trio with all the gold there, and a nice little that'd be pretty cool because all three of those guys. Yeah, I agree with you. All three of those guys, I do feel like while they've always been on the TV screen and they've had stories, which is good. I do think they have been underutilized a little bit. Like those three guys are very good. Very, very good.
I say that in again, same sort of way I think you're alluding to is I mean it in the most complimentary way in that I want more of them and they've been underutilized because they're so good. I'd have no issue with them being one of, if not the sort of focal point of NXT for a good run. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. All right. So then next we have Karrion Kross versus Oney Lorcan. Oney Lorcan is a Boston boy. That's where I'm from. So I love him.
Oney Lorcan is a Storm Wrestling Academy graduate. So you think that this Albertan doesn't have a special place in his heart? Come on, man.
Yeah. I was glad to see him. Obviously, it intertwined with the story from the tag match last week. But I hope, with however long Birch gets sidelined, I hope they find a place for Oney Lorcan in the meantime. I don't want that guy sitting on the sidelines. He's so good. The match was pretty good. I thought it was, it was a little back and forth to start. Then Kross took over on the outside a little bit. And then I did like the part at the end where Kross kind of had him in that armbar and he started talking trash. And he's like, what I did to Birch last week, I don't regret it. I actually liked it. And that you could see Oney Lorcan's eyes are like, I'm going to kill you. And then that kind of went into some ferocious strikes by Lorcan, couple of those just violent looking running uppercuts that he does. Oh my God. Yeah. And then, Kross finally had enough, hit him with the Saito suplex and then the forearm. And then that was that.
All was said and done immediately after that.
Yeah, that was that. But the big thing that came out of it was the promo afterwards. Kross grabs the mic. He starts saying that what Balor did last week had intentions behind it, and he was actually kind of glad that Balor did it because he was respecting Balor a little bit. And now he doesn't respect Balor, and he likes it better when he doesn't respect Balor. Yeah. I thought that was a nice little touch. And then Balor comes out, and he's slowly walking down the ring. He walks over Oney Lorcan on the outside, which I thought was a great touch. And he's saying that last week taught him something about Kross as well, is that he found Kross's weakness, and that is emotion. Mm-hmm. And he said that Balor said, come TakeOver, he was going to make Kross choose whether he was going to master his emotions or the emotions were going to master Kross. And then at the end of end of TakeOver, Balor was going to drag him out to cold water and emotionlessly drown him. I thought it was a good face-off. I
effing loved it. Yeah. I have no issue for me putting that Balor promo on the same level as that Britt Baker promo. I really don't. I loved it that much. I thought it was fantastic. Even how he tied in. He said, when I was younger, I had demons. I'm paraphrasing all of this. Yeah. But when I was younger, I had my demons, and I've learned to control that demon. I thought that was so cool. I think I read it on Cage Side this morning, so I'm not going to take full credit for the thought, but they said that explained the entire demon persona better than WWE ever did. Mm-hmm. And that's nothing against what WWE did. I think they tried, and there were certainly some missteps once the proverbial main roster call-up came, but I thought it was absolutely fantastic. I thought the emotion, oddly enough, in what was supposed to be a promo about being emotionless, it was fantastic. The promo was cutting. It's not often that I really loved Kross's portion of it, don't get me wrong, but it's rare for me, to be honest, that a promo hits quite like Balor's did yesterday. Britt Baker's did it as well. That's why when I'm earlier saying about both Kushida and Jordan Devlin, it's nothing against their promos. It's everything for how these guys or how Balor and Britt Baker delivered it. because, man, I think that just shows why they're two of the best pro wrestlers in the world today. Yeah. He was fantastic. I loved the promo. Absolutely loved it. I was sold on Cross versus Balor before. I'm even more sold now. To be honest, like it's one of my favorite promos I've watched in a long, long time. Yeah, it's just the best way to sum it up for me.
Yeah, I think Balor always is a good promo. I thought this was one of his best in a while. You could tell that he was and again, like he was mentioning how emotionless he is, but the emotion was just like he's ready to kill Cross, and they're both ready to.
I wouldn't be like I would have again gone to Vegas, put the money down on Karrion Kross hard before a couple of weeks ago, but Balor's done an excellent job of convincing me. I'd have no issue with Finn Balor continuing with NXT. Always around WrestleMania time, I think people start talking about the main roster call-ups for literally every one of the champions in NXT. Of course, my mind goes there with Finn Balor and what he could do on the main roster with his new persona and yada, yada, yada. But like, he'd be so good just sticking around NXT. Karrion Kross gets the call up again. This is one of those matches where it could go either way. The promos sold me on either of them potentially winning. This is pro wrestling at its best. It really is. I love what they've done. I'm going to just keep saying that until we move on to the next segment. But god damn, this was good.
Oh, it was very good. All right, so then we got Walter having his match against Drake Maverick. This match was over in seconds. As you would expect.
I missed it, admittedly, and fully knew that I would have to rush back from grabbing a drink and all that sort of stuff, but I still missed it.
It was very quick. It was a power bomb and a submission, and the ref stopped it. I don't even think Maverick tapped or anything. I think the ref was like, "This is not.
This man's triple your weight. There's no way you should be reefing on your back."
Exactly. Like Walter will literally murder this man. I need to save his life. Then the Imperium is doing their little pose in the ring, and Ciampa comes down. Ciampa challenges Walter to a UK title match at TakeOver. Imperium then takes out Ciampa and starts beating him down, to which Walter shoves the title in Ciampa's face on the ground and says, "I accept." Another match for TakeOver. I love Walter. The more Walter, the better. I know he doesn't come over to the States or the NXT in the States that often. But yeah, I'm all on board. This match is going to be killer. I love Ciampa. I love Walter. They're going to beat the crap out of each other. What are your thoughts on this match, this segment?
Luckily, I did manage to get my beverage and return to my seat before Ciampa's entrance hit, which for me was fantastic because the whole segment wants Ciampa's music. Like the second it hit, one of the points that I had down is everybody knows that Walter is such a fantastic professional wrestler as far as the in-ring stuff goes. But I think that much like Brock Lesnar almost, I think is a great comparable in that he's so good at everything else in it. The acting component, the reactions, like Ciampa's music hit and he started walking out. And one of the things that I loved most is it immediately cut back to Walter and he takes a big, like nervous gulp and his eyes start darting and stuff like that is what really, really sells a feud. You know, anybody can go back and forth with, I'm going to kick your ass on this day at this venue, whenever. It's that little stuff that I think that Walter is he gets noticed for, but is almost underrated and underappreciated for in just how great he is. It really sold me that, you know, if you were a typical individual, you'd never watched wrestling before, and you see Walter and Tommaso Ciampa, it does look like a physical mismatch. But Walter selling it like that, even for somebody who's just tuning in, that sells that, okay, I don't know who this guy is, but he's a threat. The other thing that I really loved in the total opposite spectrum of it, I really loved that Ciampa wore the Tim Thatcher shirt out.
Yes.
I noticed that. I appreciate it because I don't know which direction they're going to go with it. Again, much in the way I talk about the last segment, I can hope for both ends of it. I really love the Thatcher and Tommaso Ciampa tag team, but Thatcher and Imperium go together like peanut butter and bananas, man.
Yeah.
That would be good, right?
That would be incredible.
I love the fact that even while Thatcher's out selling the injury, Tommaso Ciampa is still going out there flying the flag for the brotherhood, for lack of a more cliche way to put it, that the two of them have built over the last few months. I thought it was a fantastic touch. Really loved the segment. Lots of bags of popcorn on my end for it.
Oh, yeah.
5 out of 5 bags of popcorn.
Yes, that match immediately shot up my takeover rank chart. I am very, very much looking forward to those two.
Yeah.
All right, then we get the NXT Women's Tag Titles are on the line. It was Shotzi and Ember Moon going against Aaliyah, and unfortunately, her tag team partner got injured. I'm drawing a blank on her name. I'm sorry.
Jessie Kamea.
Jessie Kamea, that is correct. She got injured, and they show a little segment backstage of Robert Stone offering Mercedes Martinez an envelope of money to be Aaliyah's tag team partner, to which Mercedes Martinez goes, yeah, this is just half. I want the other half after the match. And
I love it.
Yes.
I'm a Mercedes Martinez mark. I will fully concede my bias right off the bat. If you don't like Mercedes Martinez for whatever reason, number one, you're wrong. But number two, you're probably not going to like a lot of my opinions. She's fantastic. She's got to be in the conversation for greatest female wrestler of all time. She really has to be in that conversation 100%. For me. And I think that something like this, where even you mentioned with Robert Stone, who's a very comedic character, she's able to both play the comedic side of it and still maintain that I'm here to kick ass. I'm a badass. I'm a mercenary. I'm whatever words you want to put on it. Every aspect of her entrance, her presence. I could go on for days. I really could. She's just fantastic. And I really love Aaliyah. I mean, I've got a soft spot again for Canadians, but she's been fantastic. I really like the pairing of her with the Robert Stone brand because, in again, a very different way, she's not someone who I think you would consider a comedy character, but she's been able to play off of Robert Stone, still maintain that serious, that bougie attitude that she prides herself on, and still be able to play to the comedic sides. I think that that's really important in everybody, you know. Sometimes get overplayed with guys like Braun Strowman and the Big Show, and oddly enough, like a lot of the bigger individuals for whatever reason. Yeah. But you do have to be able to have that comedic side and that entertainment side of pro wrestling. And I think that Robert Stone's been a very cool fulcrum for both of those women over the last little bit. And this segment, just again for me, showed why they're all really valuable to NXT. I don't have another way to put it. I like watching all three of them on TV in whatever iteration. And then Shotzi and Ember, again, it's much like I talked about Omega earlier on the AEW side. They're just people I want to watch. They're great at what they do. I think they're on a fantastic run right now. I don't know what's going to happen, if one of them is going to turn on the other, where it's going to go. Right now, though, I am excited as hell every time Shotzi and Ember are on my TV. I'll watch them anytime. Oh, yeah. I really, really will watch them anytime. The best praise I can give a lot of people is simply their need to watch.
Yeah. And I think you started to see them incorporate some kind of cool tag team moves tonight in the match too. So you can kind of tell that they're kind of hitting their stride as a team. And like you said, those women, both of them are badasses. Ember Moon is one of my favorites. I love her, and to see her in a prominent role and just to be on TV weekly or, just in an important piece of the product is happy, because there were rumors that she might have never come back from that Achilles injury. So,
man.
It was a scary time because she's been one of my favorites for a long time now. And I'm just glad to see her on TV as a champion, just every week being focused on.
Yeah,
and that's
you and I both.
Nice to see. All right. And then we have what I thought, another one of my favorites on NXT, Cameron Grimes. This guy knocks
Take him to the moon, man.
Every time I see him, he knocks it out of the park. He is hilarious. I look forward to seeing him on TV. He's out in the locker room talking to Roddy Strong, and he's saying, hey, I want to buy the rights to the Undisputed Era. I think, there's things we can do with my money and blah, blah, blah. And Roderick Strong is not having it. And Roderick Strong just punches him right in the face. And Cameron Grimes does his usual flipping out on the ground, screaming, kicking. I thought it was hilarious. It was quick, got to the point, but I thought it was a good way to get Cameron Grimes on television, and I thought it was hysterical. Do you have any thoughts?
I agree. I really loved it. I'm a little torn, admittedly, on Roddy appearing, I should say, at this point, to have moved on fairly quickly from the Undisputed stuff. I know that Grimes mentioned it. I really would love to see there be some closure on the Roderick Strong end as well, whether it's facing off at the next event, whether, I don't know, not interference. I don't want there to be any interference in the Cole versus O'Reilly match by any means, but maybe comes in and gets some comeuppance after the match or whatever it may be. He was such an integral part of the Undisputed Era as well. his turn on Pete Dunne 4 years ago, whatever it was, for me is one of the all-time greats in NXT. And I really, really would love there to be a little more closure there before moving on to a feud that, regardless, I'm super excited for. Roddy and Grimes is going to be absolutely fantastic. I would have even loved to have seen, though, 1 week where like maybe Roddy considered it and came out as like Rich Roderick Strong or some shit like that.
Just in a suit,
I just think it
a
would
real nice suit.
Yeah, man. And Roddy Strong's just an entertaining dude. I love the guy as a baby face. Even those who is Roderick Strong, I believe the vignettes were called. But either way, the vignettes that they were running before his run with Undisputed, the guy's a great baby face as he is a heel. And I would have loved to have seen maybe a week where, again, plays to maybe the comedic side of things a little bit more, gets on with Cameron Grimes, and then begins the feud, whatever sort of fantasy booking takes place. Really, really loved it, though. Excited to see where it goes.
Yeah. And then right after that, we see Shotzi and Ember. And they get interrupted by Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell. They kind of go back and forth with some words, and it looks like they might be setting that match up maybe for one of the takeover nights. I'm assuming that'll be the NXT tag title match for the women. And the more Candice LeRae, the better. So that's my opinion on it. But yeah, what do you think about this potential matchup we might be seeing in takeover in a few weeks?
Excited for it. The segment was good. It will probably not ever be something I go back and rewatch. No shade whatsoever. It was a wrestling segment on wrestling programming that set up a match that I am excited to see happen.
Yeah. We also had William Regal makes an announcement that next week there'll be a 12-man battle royal with once they get to the last 6, it'll turn into a gauntlet. If I got that correctly.
Yeah,
it was very odd. I was trying to understand it, but
I was a little confused as well. I didn't know if they were doing the 12-man. Then the next week
would make sense.
I really don't know, though. Like, that's just, again, I'm a little confused with it. I like the idea. I really do. And I like the idea because, to be honest, outside of the Royal Rumble, I don't really like number 1 contenders battle royals. I think that a battle royal to determine who should win a pinfall or submission match usually is a bit of an odd choice. So I like the idea, and people always look great coming out of a gauntlet match. In anything, again, outside of the Royal Rumble, you don't usually have any battle royal stars. Whereas I think for the last few years, in every gauntlet match, you can point to Shinsuke or Kofi or Sasha Banks or Seth Rollins. Every time they have one, you can sort of point to someone who broke out, really. So I am excited for that aspect of it. A little confused, admittedly, on the wording of it, when things will be taking place. But I guess you are going to have to stay tuned for next Thursday's edition of the War Report, where we find out which one of us was right on what's happening.
It was very odd. I was just like, all right, so when they get to the final 6, do 4 of them go back to the back, and then we start a gauntlet match?
Do you get like a random draw?
Do we just stop it? Yeah, when they stop it when there's 6 guys left. Okay, match is over. You next 6. It was very bizarre. But either way, like, there were some big names in the graphic. Pete Dunne was in there. Roddy Strong was in there. Swerve. Loomis. So like there were Cameron Grimes we had just mentioned. So there were guys in there that I definitely would love to see get that opportunity to the winner was fighting Gargano for the North American title at one of the takeovers, one of the nights of takeover. Sorry.
Just how they get there, we've got no
exactly. It's just kind of But either way, it's going to be great. I'm assuming with those gentlemen involved. But yeah, it was very odd wording. I was
perplexing.
All right. After that, we got Jordan Devlin going one-on-one with Kushida. This match I thought was very good. Kushida is awesome. It's good.
Yeah, he's been on another level for about the last 6 months.
Yeah,
he really has.
It's good to see Devlin back. I am not someone that watches NXT UK regularly. So like I saw him in the Cruiserweight tournament. I saw him obviously win the Cruiserweight title and stuff like that. But I haven't seen a lot of his other work in between because I just don't catch UK regularly before it, pre-COVID time and now. So it is good to see him back because he's a fantastic pro wrestler. What were your opinions on this match?
I honestly, man, I would pretty well just echo what you said. I think that Kushida's been absolutely fantastic. Jordan Devlin, nice to see him back. Was it right after this match that we got the segment with Escobar?
Yes, I was going to lead.
Okay, I admittedly was a Well,
Yeah.
and I watched AEW this morning. My mind's a little everywhere, and I forgot to write a note on it because I was just invested. If you don't mind me giving my thoughts on that, I can give more thoughts on that. Beauty, sure. I think that number one, I have to admit, I popped so hard for HBK. For Shawn Michaels. I really, really did. I always will when I don't expect Shawn Michaels. I am a sucker for a big return. I don't know if you knew this, but professional wrestling fans, as a genre, we quite enjoy a surprise return or surprise appearance. So yeah, I'm going to pop for Shawn Michaels every time. The only thing I was disappointed by was the fact that he wasn't in the Colonel Sanders attire. But I think that this is the sort of stuff that I love to see, especially in NXT, is it wasn't any real big overbearing segment. It wasn't any let's put Shawn Michaels over segment. Shawn Michaels grabbed a ladder. He pushed her in the ring and essentially wiped his hands. Another little known fact about professional wrestling, Shawn Michaels is very good and somewhat associated with ladder matches. That is true. That is true. So I'm excited for it. I love when segments aren't overdrawn. Mm-hmm. You didn't need a contract signing for something like this. You don't need a long-winded promo between the two, at least not yet. I do want there to be those promo battles in the back and forth and all the foo-fa-ra that comes with professional wrestling, but set it up. Give me something. Give me a little taste of what's about to come, and I think they did great with it tonight, last night, whenever.
And a ladder match for the Cruiserweight title between those two guys, that's going to be fantastic. Shawn Michaels is there. He helps run the show. I mean, if you can get him on the TV screen from time to time, like, why not? He's a legend. You see Shawn Michaels on NXT television. If you're someone that doesn't watch it regularly, you might be like, oh man, Shawn Michaels was there. Like, maybe I should watch this more often, and it's never a bad thing to do that, especially when it's not overdrawn or there wasn't a super long promo. It was just like, hey, you guys got 2 belts. You know what? We're going to probably hang both of them up there and you guys are going to, whatever, one of you is winning. So I thought that was a beautiful thing.
Simplicity in pro wrestling can be a beautiful thing.
Yeah. And I feel like I feel like AEW sometimes can do the simple stuff. And NXT does it too, but I feel like just simplicity in general, I feel like it, at least when it comes to WWE, is few and far between sometimes.
A little understated.
Yeah, a little bit. Well, speaking of contract signings, that's how we ended NXT, was with the contract signing between Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole. Just in general, to start off the bat, I'm not against contract signings. I usually just don't care for contract signings. I thought this one was one of the better ones in recent memory. I did like the fact that there was no physical, they had security out there. Regal was pissed, and Regal was set the tone at the beginning.
He was full War Games mode. I loved it.
I love when Regal gets angry, when he's just, I love it. And he was just like, you're not ruining this for me. Like, this is a big match for this company. This is a big match you're not ruining it. You two are not ruining it. So he gives them, and Adam Cole, I thought, cut a hell of a promo. I mean, we're used to that. I know he hasn't cut any major ones. And like he says in the promo, he says, he thought the Undisputed Era meant brotherhood, and he was happy for Kyle when Kyle was going against Finn those 2 times. But he saw him fail twice, and then he was very offended by how Kyle tried to befriend Finn Balor after that and tried to have him join the Undisputed Era. And then Adam Cole had an epiphany. He called it a revelation. I'm sorry. He called it and he said, Kyle, you've been okay being a sidecar guy here for a while. And he goes, Adam Cole is not. I'm the reason Undisputed Era is the Undisputed Era. I have the longest reigning NXT championship reign ever. I am the star. There is no Undisputed Era without me.
It was so good.
Amazing. It was just
all real. Of it was good.
Yeah.
All of it was good.
Yeah. And then I love it how he signs it and he slides it over to Kyle O'Reilly. And then Kyle O'Reilly, I thought, cut a great promo as well. He called Adam Cole an asshole. They didn't bleep it out. He called him a prick. And he said that, Adam was just looking out for himself, and, he hasn't changed, and he's the same Adam Cole that he's been for 3 years. And ever since all the Undisputed Era has gotten there, they've become better wrestlers. They've become better stars, but only one of them has become a better person. And
it was so good.
Man, it was
I'm
fantastic.
repeating myself. I know I'm repeating myself, but those two very different promos that both did an excellent job of selling each other. It really did. Nobody, and that's the beauty of it, is like professional wrestling far too often, I think, is just about shitting on your opponent to make yourself look great, for lack of a better way to put it. And I think that these two specifically tonight did a really great job of still making their opponents sound great. You're only as good as the opponents you beat, right? If you beat a nobody, you're nobody, for lack of a better way. Yeah. These two made each other sound great. They talked about the history. They talked about the title wins and everything that came with it. I'm a sucker for Kyle O'Reilly. I really am. And I've been so happy over the last 6 months, 8 months that he's really gotten the opportunity to show what he's been able to do as a single star. Because when you're going up against someone and when you're aligned with someone like Adam Cole, who is one of the best in the business, there's no doubt about it right now, you're going to naturally sometimes be a little underappreciated. I thought they, again, tied that very well together, where Adam Cole's saying, I sold the merch, I got the main events, I got this, that, and the other thing. And Kyle O'Reilly, like you say, just straight up saying, I'm a better person. I mean this in a complimentary way, like the moral high ground with it. I want to be a great pro wrestler. We are better pro wrestlers, but I'm a better person. It was just cool, man. It was such an eloquently delivered promo. Again, two very different deliveries to it. I thought that Adam Cole's emotion, and both of their emotions behind it, were very, very good. But Adam Cole's emotion behind his, and then sort of the more reserved emotion that Kyle O'Reilly had behind his promo, I think it was all fantastic. I think when
it came to O'Reilly's promo, you could hear the hurt in him.
You know what I mean? That's a perfect way to put it.
Like, I think the way he was delivering it, he wasn't raising his voice. He was very calm, never stood up, like he was sitting back, kind of delivering it. And you could feel the pain in his voice because he lost one of his best friends. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And
it was fantastic.
It was so good. And then I did like the way that it ended with O'Reilly signing it. He whips the pen at Adam Cole, and Adam Cole's like, you just signed your death warrant. And then no physical altercation, but
pull apart,
and they were like, the way it was, they were right in each other's face, just screaming it. Very good, very, very good,
gorgeous episode of NXT tonight.
Oh, it was wonderful. Yeah, I know. Last night, tonight, either way.
Yeah, we're getting there.
We're getting there.
We're working out the kinks live.
Hey, it's the first show. It can only go up from here, right? So,
well, we hope.
Yeah. Anyway, so we'll go back over to AEW. We get to see the Pinnacle in ring. It was FTR and Sean Spears against the Varsity Bros and Varsity. What is it? Junior Varsity?
Varsity Blondes.
Varsity Blondes. God, I am falling apart. Varsity Blondes and Dante Martin of Top Flight. Match was relatively quick. I did like Griff Garrison has a hell of a hot tag.
Who the F is Griff Garrison?
Yeah.
Sorry, it's obligatory.
Yeah. I did like how they, even though it was a relatively quick match that the Pinnacle dominated for most of it, they did let Dante Martin and Varsity Blondes get their stuff in and Dante Martin is only 20. He just turned 20 like 2 weeks ago.
Right.
Crazy when you think about it, because you see him. When you think of 20, you don't think of somebody that polished. I think JR actually even said something similar to that on commentary. Yeah. But I thought it was good. I liked how they gave Sean Spears the pin. And they let him.
The C4 looks good too.
It does look good. That looked awesome. I did like how they gave him the pin because he's the one that you've seen the least of in the group lately, because he's kind of been doing his own thing before they came together. Afterwards, they cut a promo in the ring. FTR, they basically just talk about how they ruined the Inner Circle and dismantled the Inner Circle. MJF takes a shot at Jericho's weight, which I thought was funny. And it was basically just them saying that they're going to kill the Inner Circle and they're going to ruin it for good whenever they come back. I thought
number one, I hope for blood and guts between these two.
I would agree.
That's the hope for me as far as where this whole foo-for-all goes. But the other thing that I wanted to give a quick shout out to this as well, everybody knows MJF is fantastic. He was fantastic again tonight as far as his promo goes. I feel like, honestly, man, we can just make a sound clip of MJF cut a fantastic promo. And if you and I ever need to take a break, we can just play that because it's always going to be true. Dax Harwood, though, again, is a guy who I think is a very good promo, and people recognize that he's very talented, but this was a personal favorite of mine. Again, we talk about emotion consistently throughout this, but I think that the passion that he had, he's staring right into the camera the entire time he's cutting it. I thought it was just fantastic, his delivery. Cash Wheeler as well, but I had to give a special shout out there to Dax Harwood. Just fantastic promo tonight, and I really, really loved him personally in the match as well. I love that leg drop, elbow drop combo. It always hits me. I don't know why specifically. It's not like it's a finisher or anything along those lines. It always hits me well, delivers it so well. Great pro wrestler that Dax Harwood is.
Oh, yeah. Then we got a Team Taz promo where Taz was saying that everything's peachy keen. Brian Cage apologized. I did love the whole time Brian Cage, kind of on the edge of the screen, was doing the side.
That's my note, too.
I didn't know. Maybe not, but okay. I also did like how when he went to Ricky Starks and he was like, hey, we're all good, right? And Ricky Starks had that like corny, like, I don't believe a damn. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Of course you're okay.
Oh, yeah, great. Gritting his teeth like, yeah, I'm doing this for everybody, not me, though, because I'm angry.
Yeah,
I thought it was quick, but it got the point across. It still showed the dissension, kind of, which I think is a little too soon on my own personal opinion of it. But I thought the actual promo was good. And then we got the QT Marshall promo where he's out and he's talking about how, everyone views him as Cody's friend and he just has a job because he's Cody's friend. And he starts talking about how nobody understands all the work he does behind the scenes and how when all the wrestlers get to go home, he's there all night missing out on time with his wife. And they showed his wife in the crowd and stuff like that. Cody then comes out and, they did the thing. I think they could have gone without this, but they did the thing where Cody comes out with the headphones on and he's got to take it all off. And, and he says, hey, I'll do the match with you, but it's an exhibition. I'm not going to hurt you. If I cinch in the figure 4, I'm letting it go. I'm not doing it. If I go for the crossroads and I have you in that, I'm just letting go. It's an exhibition. And QT accepts. They shake hands. And that was that. What'd you think of that?
I liked it. I don't like with any pro wrestling, like, okay, again, yes, QT Marshall, for anybody out there who pays attention to professional wrestling, internet stuff, he does a hell of a lot of work backstage. He ain't wrong in saying that. By no means do I mean to critique or anything the hard work that he does put in. That's a very valid statement. But like, by the same token, why is Christopher Daniels not making that complaint? Why is Dustin Rhodes not making that complaint? Why are many of those individuals? Why is Matt Jackson not making that complaint, editing all the BTE, all of this sort of stuff? I get it. I think it's a good segment because I'm intrigued to see where it goes. And at the end of the day, that's the goal of a segment. I just don't like here's the hard work that I put in backstage, because yes, he does, but so do a lot of other again, whether you liked it or not, Cody's literally coming out from the backstage area, taking off his headset from doing hard work in the backstage area. You know what I mean? So yeah. Maybe that was like a subtle reference to it. If it was, great job. But I don't like that being the complaint, because I do think there are a lot of ways that QT could have gone with it, with even just saying like Cody and Dustin do get all the accolades, and I'm never whatever it may have been. I'm not going to sit here and fantasy book on the show. That was just my only bit of with the whole thing. I thought it was a great promo as far as the delivery and all of that goes.
I agree.
It's an odd choice for me.
Yeah, I would agree. I'm looking forward to the match. It's an exhibition match. Arn Anderson will be the referee. I don't know if we see the QT Marshall official turn on Cody, but it seems they're going in kind of that fractured direction there.
Then we turn Arn Anderson with him too. QT Marshall managed by Arn Anderson. That'll do it for me.
Yeah. Then we get the Young Bucks and Brandon Cutler versus the Lucha Brothers and Laredo Kid. What were your thoughts on this match?
Here are my exact notes. Huge shout out to Cutler's entrance gear. Really neat. Really like it. Laredo Kid. Really neat. Really nice to see him back in a ring. Hell of a match. That's really all I had down there. I quite enjoyed it. I know that there have been complaints when it comes to a lot of lucha stuff that the Young Bucks and all of that do about, it looks choreographed. Here's something fun for you guys. Professional wrestling is, and I quite like the fact that these guys are athletic as all hell and showcase it often and often.
Oh, yeah.
I tried to think of another word. I couldn't think of one. But
yeah,
thought that was great. The match itself was fantastic. But personally, the highlight for it for me was all of the shenanigans and all of the stuff that went on post-match. I think that, again, Omega needs to be recognized for the great work he's doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
This sort of unhinged Kenny is absolutely fantastic. I'm getting and I know it's sort of the role he's going, but I think he's doing a great job of it. I'm getting very final boss, final character vibes from him. Even in the deliveries of his promos now, it's absolutely fantastic to hear. I'm loving me some Kenny Omega, and I'm really excited to see where this goes. I really am.
I thought this was his best promo that he's had in AEW. I thought tonight.
Okay,
that was my opinion.
I thought it was fantastic. I think there's some contenders though, which is a nice thing to be able to say. Yeah.
So he comes out. He attacks Laredo Kid after the match, and then the Young Bucks stop him, and Omega's saying, "Hey, 3 years ago, we had a choice. I had a choice, and I could have stayed where I was, where I was loved, where I was a star. I could have went to greener pastures in New York." And we talk about subtle, right? That was a subtle mention to WWE, and I thought that one was the one that was done perfectly. That made sense. Everyone knew what he meant. It was fit what he was doing. As we talked about earlier, there was one that was a little, So he says that, he goes, and when we made this decision, he goes, for me, I didn't make this decision with AEW. I made my decision with you guys because you guys are my family. You guys are my best friends. Yeah.
Just fantastic.
And then he says, and you know what? You guys didn't choose me. You didn't choose me back. And I
chose Brandon Cutler, which I popped for the line.
Oh yeah, you chose poor Brandon Cutler, who's still unconscious in the corner over here. He's like, you chose Brandon Cutler. It was excellent. I just thought, I'm very excited to see where they're heading here. Like you said, I just thought, Omega's he's always been on the next level in the ring, but I think it's all coming together with just the psycho boss who's losing his mind more.
Bingo, man. I think he killed it. Yeah. Absolutely killed it.
And then we get a Mox and Kingston promo where they're talking about how the Good Brothers and Omega are going to pay for what they did the week prior. I thought Moxley was really good here. He mentions the Young Bucks. He says that he owes them now for helping him out, and he really doesn't like owing anybody. I did like that little mention of the Young Bucks because they did kind of save him last week when he was on the verge of being taken out. So
see, and I love hearing that too, because for me, Moxley was fantastic. But again, the only note I've got, did you know Eddie Kingston is an excellent promo?
Yeah,
I love him. Absolutely love him. It's like, this is in New Japan. Yeah, I said it. Yeah, I said it.
Yeah, he don't care.
Fantastic. Just exactly the delivery, the passion, the emotion, the everything that rightfully has been said often as all hell about Eddie Kingston. Sean again tonight. I never would have thought that I would have wanted either of these guys. I wanted these guys to work together, but I never would have thought I would have wanted either of them in a tag team at all.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, in something like this, and I can't wait, whether it's tomorrow, 2 years, or 200 from now. Yeah. I can't wait for those guys to start to enter the tag title scene.
Oh yeah,
to approach from there.
Yes, I want them to have those titles sooner than later.
Oh yeah, man.
Then we got Nyla Rose and Ty Conti. A surprising win for Ty Conti, big time win. Nyla Rose is obviously, she hasn't lost many matches. They make her look like the native beast, the beast that she is. I thought the match was really good. I thought Ty Conti showed aggression throughout the match, screaming and just kind of different things. She had an awesome hammerlock DDT for her finisher that they called the DD Ty. I wasn't a huge fan of all the stuff that happened after with Matt Hardy, and he cut up. Nyla attacked Ty Conti during the celebration. Sheeta came out, then Bunny came out, and it was kind of turned into a little brawl among the women. And then Matt Hardy was on the stage with Private Party.
One thing that I was curious about, maybe I missed it, but when did Matt Hardy and Butcher and Blade and all of that align? When did he become their client, or when did they become his clients? Because I would have just missed it if it happened over the last couple of weeks. I'm just a little uncertain on the timeline.
It was recently. I think it might have been over. Maybe it's less than a month ago, but I think it was within the last 2 or 3 weeks ago. I forget the circumstances that led to it.
Either way, it was was a little confused on the timeline there because I hadn't seen that before.
Yeah.
The one thing that I did have though, I don't like sort of the post-match everybody run in one at a time shenanigans.
Yeah.
I just don't like that style of it. But what I do love is that Bunny's finally getting involved on the wrestling side of things.
Yeah.
She's always been very involved on the managerial and sort of the interference side in the wrestling ring and involved in matches, but she's damn good. She's just a damn good professional wrestler, and I'm very excited to hopefully see her as judging by Hardy's promo there to hopefully step into the ring sooner rather than later, because she's someone that much like we talked about Britt Baker when she signed and all of those sort of first wave of women who signed with AEW, she's someone that to me I always saw as a potential pillar of the women's division, and I really hope that comes to fruition soon. She's done great work. I just think that there should be a lot more opportunities for her to do that great work. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I will 100% second that. Then we saw a couple promos for we got one for the Arcade Anarchy tag match next week, which is Miro and Kip versus Chucky T and Orange Cassidy. And then we had a Scorpio Sky promo, which I really dug. He was promoting a match for Elevation against Matt Sydal this coming Monday, but he was really just talking about how, everyone's saying that he changed, but he didn't really change. He just realized his potential and that nobody was giving him the opportunities that he needed. I like Scorpio Sky. I'm a fan of him. The more the merrier when it comes to him.
I agree. Put it perfectly, my friend. I can't expand on that. I'm sure anybody who's listened to me talk about pro wrestling knows I can ramble with the best of them, but I'm not going to. You put it perfectly.
All right, then we had the main event with John Silver going against Darby Allin for the TNT title. I love John Silver. Love John Silver.
I'm always happy to see that guy on any program, anywhere. Quite literally, again, I referenced BTE earlier. I was never a big Being the Elite fan, to be quite honest with you, before the Dark Order and before they made it what it is today, to be honest with you. Sorry as I reach down to plug my computer in and turn off my ring light. But I've absolutely loved what they've done with the behind the scenes stuff with the Dark Order, with John Silver specifically. And again, much like we talked about the Omega match to kick off the show, it was pretty well a foregone conclusion, I think, how this one was going to go in a lot of minds. But this is another one where I'm very happy to have seen John Silver. I think he did a great job in the match. Coming out, looks great coming out of a loss. Again, to take the cliche, but I loved it. I really loved it.
Yeah, I thought it was great. I thought Silver had offense throughout the majority of the match, which was good. I think they have potential for him to be like a super underdog babyface down the line. He's just charismatic and everybody loves him, and I thought it was a really good match. Obviously, Darby was going to win, but then it turned into chaos afterwards where Sting had come down during the match to kind of – Dark Order was at ringside. They weren't really doing anything, so they were being fair. I don't know why Sting had to come down and kind of be a jerk, but they weren't.
Yeah, because if I remember correctly if I remember correctly, he came out after number 10 came and sort of dove in the way of that Darby Allin.
It's
not like they were getting in there and thank you. Thanks for covering for me so eloquently. I didn't get why Sting had to come down. That was the biggest thing. And I always am going to be excited to see my birthday buddy Sting. Happy March 20th. I'm always excited to see him. I just didn't understand why he had to come down.
No, I did not either. But then you kind of make sense afterwards because Matt Hardy and his people were sitting at ringside after the match. Darby Allin and Sting. Sting goes over and helps John Silver up, which is a good rub to have with Sting. Yep. And Darby Allin and Silver do a little fist bump. So there's a nice moment happening in there. And then Matt Hardy and crew jump into the ring, start attacking everybody. Ty Conti comes back down from earlier, and we end in a giant brawl segment. Overall, I thought a really good show. I thought a good show of both nights, like we said at the beginning of both shows, a good night. I liked AEW a tad better than NXT, but I thought they were, and I know you were the other way around, but I thought they were both, like you said, for our first, getting the kinks out and kind of figuring out what this is going to be. I thought it was made a lot easier that both shows were pretty kick-ass.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm very glad that we didn't get two bad programs where you and I had to sit here and not only figure out kinks, but also cover for a lot of stuff.
Exactly.
It was a great night of Wednesday night programming. And I guess to sort of play off the title of it, I think, on my opinion, that NXT won the battle, but you, the fans, are winning the war.
Absolutely. All right. Before we get out of here, anything to plug, my friend, for the remainder of the week, or any cool things coming up on your end?
Always. But if you guys are watching the War Report, if you were listening to the War Report here on your Thursday, you guys can find everything that I've got coming out right here on Love Wrestling CA. Whether you're watching, listening, you want to read articles, whatever it may be, we can be found where podcasts are played, videos are viewed, or those articles are read. Love Wrestling CA is the place. If you want to find me personally, it is at Spenny Love on Twitter. Myself, I personally have an interview with the one, the only TJ Wilson coming out tomorrow that I'm very excited about. He's a great individual and obviously somebody who's done some great things for pro wrestling, both inside and outside of the ring. Talk about QT Marshall. Well, let's talk about another incredibly hardworking individual in pro wrestling. You're going to hear a lot from him tomorrow. But again, stay up to date with Love Wrestling, and you will stay up to date with the latest and greatest from Spencer Love. Hopefully, you guys think it's great and not at all late, but stay tuned.
All right. Thank you for joining me today. Thanks for tuning into the first episode of the War Report. We will be back here next Thursday and every Thursday on Love Wrestling. I am Joseph Poulin Jr. You can check my Twitter handle there. Thank you again, and we will see you next week, everybody.